In 1994, a 30-year-old hedge fund quant quit his job, drove west, and started scribbling a business plan in the passenger seat. 20 years later, that plan would help wipe out more retail stores than any recession in American history. This is how one online bookstore became the closest thing capitalism has produced to an empire. Jeff Bezos didn't set out to sell books forever. He picked books because they were easy to ship, cheap to warehouse, and impossible to run out of demand for. The real plan, laid out in his earliest strategy documents, was far bigger. Build what he called the everything store. Amazon opened for business out of a garage in Bellevue, Washington, in July 1994. The first order shipped in 1995. By May 1997, the company went public at $18 a share. Wall Street wanted profit, Bezos wanted market share, and shareholder letter after shareholder letter made clear he was willing to lose money for years to get it. For a while, it looked like a mistake. Between 2000 and 2001, the dot-com bubble burst, and Amazon stock collapsed by more than 90% from its peak. Barron's magazine ran a now infamous cover story questioning whether the company would survive at all, under the headline Amazon.bomb. Analysts said the fulfillment centers were too expensive. Investors said the losses were too deep. Bezos didn't cut the vision. He cut costs everywhere he could, and kept building the giant regional warehouses that critics said the company couldn't afford. It was, in hindsight, the most expensive bet of his career, and it worked. By 2003, Amazon posted its first full-year profit. Then came the moves almost nobody outside the company understood at the time. In 2005, Amazon launched Prime, unlimited, 2-day shipping for $79 a year. It looked like a shipping discount. It was actually something closer to a psychological trap, because once a customer had already paid for free shipping, every purchase afterward felt like it cost nothing extra. Prime members, studies would later show, spent dramatically more per year than non-members. In 2006, Amazon launched a project few people took seriously at first, renting out its own spare computing infrastructure to other businesses. It was called Amazon Web Services. Nobody thought a bookstore had any business selling cloud computing. Within a decade, AWS was generating the majority of Amazon's operating profit, subsidizing the thin-margin retail business it was built to serve in the first place. In 2007, Amazon released the Kindle, its first e-reader, a bet that customers would abandon physical books for digital ones, sold and delivered instantly through Amazon's own platform. Not every bet landed. In 2014, Amazon released the Fire Phone, a smartphone meant to compete directly with the iPhone. It flopped almost immediately, and the company wrote off roughly $170 million in unsold inventory. Bezos later called failure and invention inseparable twins. The losses on Fire Phone, in his framing, were simply the cost of the swings that eventually connect. By opening its platform to outside sellers through Amazon Marketplace, Amazon turned potential competitors into tenants, collecting a fee on millions of sales from businesses that, in an earlier era, might simply have competed with it directly for the same customer. Then Amazon moved into the physical world. In 2017, it acquired Whole Foods Market for $13.7 billion, its largest acquisition to date, instantly giving an online retailer hundreds of physical storefronts, cold chain logistics, and a grocery customer base it had struggled to build organically for years. The pattern repeated across category after category. Enter a business that was too thin margin or too logistically complex for most competitors to bother with, absorb short-term losses that would sink a smaller company, and let scale finish the job over a decade instead of a quarter. That scale came with a cost the company is still reckoning with. Warehouse working conditions have drawn sustained criticism and government scrutiny for over a decade, and in 2022, workers at a Staten Island fulfillment center voted to unionize under the Amazon Labor Union. The company's first successful U.S. warehouse union vote, though Amazon has disputed the outcome's legitimacy in ongoing legal proceedings, so treat the final resolution as unsettled. In September 2023, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and 17 state attorneys general filed a sweeping antitrust lawsuit against Amazon, alleging the company used illegal tactics to maintain a monopoly in online retail. The case is still working through the courts as of this recording, so its outcome remains genuinely uncertain. Don't treat either side's version as settled fact. None of this happened overnight, and none of it happened by accident. Toys R Us, Circuit City, Sears, independent bookstores by the thousand, almost none of them survived the decades Amazon spent expanding around them. By the early 2020s, various estimates placed Amazon's share of US e-commerce somewhere around 40%. A concentration of market power in a single company that analysts have repeatedly compared to Standard Oil at the height of its dominance before it was broken apart by antitrust action in 1911, 30 years. One garage, a stock that nearly went to zero, and an entire industry rebuilt, piece by piece, around a single company's willingness to lose money on purpose, for exactly as long as it took to win. Whether that's the story of American innovation at its best, or American antitrust law arriving 30 years too late, is still being argued in courtrooms right now. Next time, the company that seemed unstoppable until it wasn't. Blockbuster's collapse in 15 minutes.